mechanisms. Any kind of coping mechanism is a way for us to detach or numb us from a stressful situation or event. Common types of coping mechanisms are watching too much TV, eating, not eating, too much exercise, daydreaming, disassociation, denial, anything that takes you out of your present feelings for the here and now. So a lot of people do not realize that their coping mechanisms, or if they do, they are not aware that their coping mechanisms, such as, for instance, smoking, is actually taking you out of the present moment. So when we go throughout our day-to-day, we are constantly feeling different feelings at different times, and a lot of times when we develop coping mechanism, it is from a specific, generally in a childhood, event that causes us to detach from the present moment. So what's good about a coping mechanism is that it helps us de-stress so that we can kind of move on with our day-to-day lives and it not affect us, and it's a very numbing feeling. Lots of people smoke, drink, watch too much TV, eat, binge, anything too much. Daydreaming can be a coping mechanism or an addiction because it takes you out of the present moment. If you're not in the present moment, you are not aware of your feelings. And your feelings are your internal guide to what is going on. So if you are not aware of your feelings, then you can't protect yourself. So let's say somebody has a problem with drinking. So at an early age, they developed a drinking problem. So it might have not started out as like a really big problem, but they might have a drink here, they might have a drink there, maybe starting on the weekends, and then it turns into this cycle of addiction. So what people have a hard time also understanding when they're dealing with a coping mechanism or an addiction is really what it is they are afraid or feel uncomfortable with pain. Pain is a normal part of life, and if you think that you are going to go through life without feeling pain, you are very mistaken. Pain is a way of telling you that something is going wrong in your life or something needs to be fixed in your life. And a lot of people, they tend to have the same problems because they still have these coping mechanisms and are not aware of how to fix the problem because they're numbing of what's inside. So let's say we're going swimming today, and it's a nice day and we're on our surfboard, and a shark comes and chops off our leg or chops off our arm. Someone with a coping mechanism, and this is just an example, might say, oh, I don't really feel like feeling this pain right now, so let me take a pill. And, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore, so I feel better. Meanwhile, you're bleeding out and it might get infected, or you might permanently lose the leg or arm, and that's kind of what happens when people develop addictions or a coping mechanism, is that they're not really fixing the real problem, so then you don't have the freedom to really be able to fix whatever is going wrong in your life. So when we think about pain, we think about something that is possibly negative or possibly something negative about ourselves. So if we were to think of pain as kind of like an opportunistic approach or an opportunistic event. So if you were to think about your addiction or your coping mechanism, I kind of want it to be more of okay, what would it be like if I didn't have my coping mechanism, or if I didn't have my addiction? How would I feel? And a lot of people wouldn't even realize how they are feeling without their addiction or coping mechanism because they have been avoiding it for so long. So instead of thinking pain as something that's negative, what I find really helpful is to view pain as an opportunity for growth or an opportunity for change. Pain is telling you there's something wrong and something needs to be changed. Instead of keep going back to the coping mechanism that you have, you might want to ask, what does this opportunity and how does this, what is this opportunity and how does it benefit me? Also, if you do have a hard time letting go of a coping mechanism or letting go of an addiction, it's also really helpful to ask yourself when the addiction started or when the coping mechanism started, because that's usually a really good criteria as to why you started and what you were feeling. And most of the time it started in childhood or you were feeling a certain way, so typically you're not running away from the event of what caused you pain, but how you are feeling towards it. Another really good strategy that I have learned is when we think about pain, we oftentimes resist the pain. We resist not wanting to feel it. We resist not wanting it to be uncomfortable, or people think, oh, if I feel the pain, then it'll never go away again, or I'll always feel uncomfortable. And that's not really how emotions work. They want to be recognized, they want to be accepted, and they want to be acknowledged. So if you can, instead of resisting the pain or resisting the uncomfortableness or kind of tensing when you feel this pain, it's really helpful to just sink into it and surrender to it and really not give it so much energy, because what you focus on is what is going to persist. So if you keep running from a specific event or a specific emotion, it's never going to go away, and your bad emotions or your negative emotions are never going to go away. Also, what's really helpful is if you guys want any more further information about coping mechanisms, you can look at Teal Swans YouTube video called Coping Mechanisms, and I'm sure she can explain it a lot more in detail about coping mechanisms and how to get through them. But if anyone is going through an addiction of any kind, or a coping mechanism, or having a hard time letting something go that they really don't want to be in their life, this has been some really beneficial, helpful tips and criteria that has helped me along my journey, and it has helped me really live a wholesome life. I believe that life is about experiencing all emotion and not just one or two, because that's what makes you a well and wholehearted and rounded person. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!